How's it, everyone? This is Lolcohol. Today's video, I'm going to go over a whole lot of the cool things that are coming in PoE 2 that you might not have caught if you're not staying 100% up to date on Twitter and with all the interviews that Jonathan, the game director of PoE 2, has been doing. These are things I am really excited about and some of the things that were missed during the live stream. So first of all, one of the coolest things I think is just that Magic Find is actually now going to affect the quality of items in a way. So instead of just finding a whole lot of crap and then maybe one of those pieces of crap will actually be good, instead it's actually going to improve the types of items that you're finding, including currencies, and also you're going to find higher tiers of unidentified items. So in PoE 2, you will actually have a note on an item that falls on the ground. You might find like a crossbow tier 5, and then you're immediately going to know that's an actually really good item. The mods on that higher tier item, it'll have a more restricted mod pool. So presumably, let's say like the highest tier, if it's tier 5, would be like tier 1 and tier 2 mods. So instantly you see that, you go, okay, cool. That's something I want to pick up and have a look at. So less loot filter hiding everything and more exciting dopamine hits from rare items that actually fall on the ground. This doesn't stick with crafting. So if you find a good high tier base and then you craft on it, it's not going to only be able to roll the highest tiers of mods, but at least you'll be able to see when something falls on the ground, okay, I should pick that up, have a look at it. Another thing that's really cool, and we saw this on GGG's Twitter, was that we can actually get higher tier rare items and presumably unique items as well, but ones with these very, very high item level requirements. A lot of people were worrying that the itemization might be much more simple than we saw in PoE 1. We're not going to have all the influences and all of that complicated stuff, but it does look like there's a very, very high top end that's going to make you want to push to get to those higher levels. Required level 90, I can't think of a single item in PoE that has a requirement of level 90. Even level 80, I'm sure there are some, but nothing is springing to mind. So there's now really a big incentive to push those higher tiers. You now might say, I want to get level 90 so I can use this crazy soft with +5 to level of all lightning skill gems. Like, what? That's nuts. So for folks who are worrying about not getting all those influences and more complex mods, just remember this is the baseline for PoE 2. There will be new leagues, there will be new mechanics, there will presumably be new crafting methods, crafting currencies. We've already seen some really interesting things like soul cores. Maybe it's very simple. Omens, those will open up meta crafting, but I mean, give it some time, man. If this is the ground floor and the baseline that we are working with, I'm very excited to see what comes next. So be patient. And again, speaking about itemization, one of the best changes that they did announce during the live stream was just the frequency of crafting currencies dropping. Finding exalted orbs early on, having access to regals early on. We have lost orbs of scouring and orbs of alteration, but I'm actually okay with that now that we have seen things like omens in the latter part of the endgame, and then also things like runes, which help you just top off your items and fill in little gaps in your defenses. But crafting in PoE 1, for people who love it, they absolutely love it. It is, if you hate it, you're going to disagree with me so strongly right now, but PoE's crafting system is mind-blowingly good. It is phenomenal once you get your head around it. But the cost of entry is incredibly steep. You need to have such a broad foundational knowledge just to start engaging with it. And if you don't have that, you really feel probably quite intimidated by it. And also it's almost like you feel gate-kept out of it. Like, this is really complicated. I don't want to spend 100 hours learning about how items functions, how all these different crafting currencies function. And then what ends up happening is just a lot of people never engage with crafting, and they're missing out because it is a phenomenal system once you get your head around it. But I do get it. It is too complicated. So having these crafting currencies available early on, I think could open the door for a lot of people who previously felt locked out. So being able to use your exalts and your transmutes and your regals, maybe we'll even see things like omens. We know that we're getting ritual during the campaign, so maybe you'll see those omens earlier on. but I really want to encourage some of you who have avoided crafting in the past to give it a shot now. Try and get into it. I will have guides on itemization and crafting and all of that kind of stuff, but use your exalts, try learn like basics of how items work. I'll put up videos like that, don't worry, but hopefully this opens the door to a lot of new people. Another great change that we saw during Talkative Try's interview with Jonathan was that rare monsters are going to be a bit different. So we will still see some of the old modifiers, things that might increase a monster's fire damage or its attack speed, move speed, those types of things. However, and I think this is a brilliant change, not all monster types will be able to be rare. So you might not be able to find a rare zombie anymore. It just might not exist, because a rare zombie kind of thematically a little bit boring. And now something very interesting about it, there's a fantastic change, is just that rare monsters will actually get new abilities. The way they interact will be different, and I love this. So during Jonathan and Try's talk, I think the example Jonathan gave was that you would find like a quill rat or something that shoots out spikes at you. A normal version of this enemy just shoots out these little spikes and they hit you, but the rare version, it would shoot out spikes that then land in the ground and then explode. So just an example of the way the actual creature itself, its mechanics would evolve as its rarity improves from probably normal to rare. I don't know if magic monsters will be different, but this is a really great change. I think one of the greatest shortcomings of ARPGs probably in the last decade, since Diablo 2, is that monster identity was very much lost. If you think about D2, undead soul killers, you're playing the game very differently around those monsters. Burning souls, you're playing differently around those. Think of like archers, you've got those Act 5 exploding guys, so you will hit them, then run away, wait for them to explode, re-engage. But there was a lot of the monsters change the way you play your game. And I really love that. And because of the pace of ARPGs over the last decade, that's really been lost. And I'm hoping that this change will bring some of that back. So instead of monsters just being a canvas for rare modifiers, it'll hopefully still maintain its identity. When you're fighting a quill rat that shoots out spikes, when it's rare, you're still going to be mostly worried about the spikes and not the fact that it has Soul Eater. And what's also nice about this is they'll be able to establish which rare monsters will be able to get which rare mods. So if there is a rare mod that just makes a certain monster type way too strong, that monster won't be able to get that mod. So you won't have to worry about just awful combinations of modifiers being paired together and then just having some unkillable giga tank of a rare zombie that is chasing you down the map. I'm sure this will take time to balance. Be patient with this, but really love that they now are more able to finely tune the rare monsters that we have in the game, and hopefully it affects the way we actually play around them. And I think one of my favorite changes is just the skill gem page. I know we all know about it, but this is a game changer, especially for people coming in, low-level players or people who haven't played ARPGs, people who are intimidated by PoE 1. Having that skill page is probably one of the best changes that is coming to PoE 2. I've had friends in the past they've played PoE, but just there's all these friction points where they go, man, I'm struggling with this and I'm struggling with this and I need resistance, but I have a new chest and that has resistance, but then if I put that on, then I don't have the sockets I need. So just having this cleaned up skill system is just such a brilliant touch. Same with the engraving page, being able to choose the gem you want, having those suggestions, that is just excellent. But then on the other hand, again, during Try's interview with Jonathan, we found out we're not going to be able to switch ascendancies in PoE 2, at least in the early access. No idea exactly when that will change. But again, for new players, if you're coming to this game, GGG isn't some massive billion-dollar corporation that makes changes in a very sluggish way. They're actually quite agile. So if there are changes that need to be made in PoE 2, have faith, all right? Be a little bit patient. Don't lose your mind. Don't think it's going to be like this for the next 6 months. if enough people voice their concerns and really hate something, also if there are just completely broken exploits, broken mechanics in the game, you're not going to wait 6 months for those to be fixed. It might be maybe a week, maybe even a couple of days. They're very, very agile. They're on it. So this no Ascendancy switch, I would bet a lot of money on this being changed very, very quickly, because I can't think of a whole lot of people who are into this. I understand having your choices matter, but in this case, nah. Let me know if you're into this, but I've seen just complete across the board dislike for this choice that they've made, but I fully expect it to change. And in the same vein, something I expect to change is the one portal for the endgame mapping. This is a big change. So PoE 1, you would get your 6 portals. PoE 2, if you fail a map, well, you failed the map. It's done. You don't get to use your other 5 portals to go back in and finish it. I'm a little bit on the fence about this. There's a side of me that loves this sort of medium core mechanic where you get punished for being bad at the game. But at the same time, there's a side of me that's like, we have hardcore. If you want to be punished, play hardcore. I don't think this is going to be a popular change. We're going to have to wait and see. It'll be very frustrating for new people who are learning the game to go in a map, fail it, maybe fail it on a boss and then have to chase that boss down again, or see a really valuable item, try and run over to grab it and die, and now you can't go back in. So this is another one that I wouldn't be surprised if they go back on it. Just remember, GGG, they are not afraid to take chances, but at the same time, they're not afraid to make changes. So, like I said, if stuff sucks, say that it sucks. I will call stuff out when it's bad, but at the same time, I have faith in this company that they're not trying to make the game horrible and unfun as possible. They're trying to make the game as fun as possible, hopefully. Well, depends who decides what fun is, but another great thing. Last thing is that notables on the passive tree are actually quite notable now. We've seen a whole lot from Dreamcore. A lot of these notables are sort of in between keystones, not quite. Maybe it feels more like they are small ascendancy passives that we would have seen in PoE 1. So things that might make your grenades explode twice, or notables that give you just an obscene amount of energy shield. But notables in PoE 2 are notable. They are really, really cool. So on the inner sides of the skill tree, it looks like it's going to be fairly generic stuff. But then as you travel to the outer edges, you're going to start seeing some stuff that's like mind-blowing, especially if you played PoE 1. A lot of these nodes look really, really good. Our friend Dreamcore, he's been releasing daily updates, just like drip feeding us little bits of notables that he's seen on the passive tree when he was at an event at LA. And every single one of those videos, there's something in it where you just go like, whoa, like that is really, really, really strong. So these are all the main things that I'm super excited about. I'm not going to go into WASD. That's going to be something I need to get my hands on to try. I think it's a great change, but I don't really have too many thoughts about it until I've tried it. I love that they've added it. I think it's going to be awesome, but I'm going to wait and see. But let me know, what are you most excited about for PoE 2? Also, don't forget to join the Discord. I have a Patreon. I have YouTube members. I have Twitch. Give me a follow on those if you want to see more content. There will be more content, don't you worry, especially after launch. There are going to be a lot of beginner guides. So have a wonderful day, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.